Did you know that God designed the Ark of the Covenant to systematically dismantle the Egyptian worldview? Most believers know that God freed his people from slavery in Egypt through a couple guys named Moses and Aaron, right? The Israelites had been captive as slaves there for hundreds of years until God intervened. Now, there's so many cool parts to this story, but I really want to focus on the Ark of the Covenant. Now, another absolutely fascinating rabbit trail you should go down at some point is looking at how the 10 plagues that God sent all directly put their gods in their places and made a mockery of them. The plagues are one of the many ways that God structurally and completely reversed Egypt and their worldview. Um, a lot of people know that, though, and that's not what I want to talk about. There's something else really cool. And so God defeated and dismantled their gods through those plagues. But then what he does through the Ark of the Covenant actually redefines what God even is and how they understand God. So during Egyptian festivals and celebrations, which one of them was called the Opet Festival, it was this huge parade between temples. They had rituals and special ceremonies where their gods would visit people, and they would actually carry them around on land and even put them on these boat-like structures called barks. They'd put them in the Nile and I guess let them go down the river to visit people. I'm not really sure how it all worked, but their gods were statues and they needed to be carried. And so now fast forward to the Israelites getting out of Egypt. And God, Yahweh, had them build a thing called the Ark of the Covenant. Now, this was supposed to represent God's presence. And he actually tells them in Exodus 25, verse 22, that this is where he would meet them and above the mercy seat, which is important. So don't forget about that part. He'd meet them above the mercy seat. Then he tells them that they're in the same verse, that he would speak to them about all that he will command them to do for the sons of Israel. And so this mercy seat was sort of this like lid or covering to the Ark of the Covenant. And so he would meet them above that place. And so when they lived in Egypt, which was their entire lives, that's all that they knew, they had these physical idols and worshiped things that represented their Egyptian gods. And so Yahweh tells them, however, they're not to have other gods. They're not to have idols. And so think about this. They just came out of a culture where gods had images, gods were carried, gods were visible, and then God says, build this ark, this structure. It's gold, it's sacred, it's carried on poles. Probably would have sounded very familiar to them, right? But then God does something totally shocking. There's no statue, there's no image, there's no physical representation of God at all. Instead, his presence dwells above the ark, above the mercy seat. And so God says, I will meet you there. I will speak to you from above it. So we see God didn't just defeat Egypt's gods with the plagues, he actually redefined what God even means with the ark. Because a real God is not something you can make or hold. God cannot dwell in any structures or images made by human hands. And see, this is not imitation. This isn't God imitating Egypt. It's a bold reversal. God takes familiar form so that Israel can understand, but then totally and radically transforms them. Instead of a God who needs to be carried around to gain power and to be displayed, he's telling them that they've got a God who already reigns everywhere. It's like God saying, I'm not just bigger, I'm beyond comparison. There's nothing that can compare to God. It's a bold redefinition that completely changed and reshaped how they understood who God even was. And one day, little would they know that the same God wouldn't just dwell above a box, above this structure, above the mercy seat, but he would dwell among his people. Now, if you want me to do a video about the Egyptian gods and how God reversed everything and mocked the Egyptian gods through the plagues, leave a comment below. If you want to hear any of the other ways that God did complete structural reversals of Egypt through what he showed them, then leave a comment below and I'll do some more videos because there's more cool stuff that can be found.